After the show podcast where we hang out a little bit longer with you.
I wanted to mention this today in the show, and we just never were able to work it in. Today is October 1st, the beginning of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So 3 things to know about your mammogram. If you've never had one before, or if it's been a while and you forget, I've had 3 or 4 mammograms, and there are times when I show up and it's like, oh, I've done this before. What was I thinking?
Are you supposed to get them annually now or not? At what age do you get them annually?
I don't remember that either, Murphy, but I've not been told.
She can't remember, but she's here to give us 3 things we need to know.
I'm not due for one. I don't think if I'm supposed to get another one soon, I'll hear from my doctor about it because I have my annual OBGYN visit in January.
Good.
And so if I'm supposed to get one, she'll make sure that I do.
Okay.
And I don't think I'm due for another one. Okay.
Look, it's easy, and I'm not teasing you. I'm really serious. Life gets busy,
Yes,
and
it
I
does.
think it's probably very easy for people to overlook. A year goes by, and you know what? And it's a very important exam.
In my mind, I just had it the other day when reality is I had it in January.
Yeah.
So anyway, the 3 things to know, whether it's your first mammogram or if it's been a while and you forget, like we just said. Number 1, don't wear a dress because you'll end up naked because they only need you to take off your top. So from the waist up is where they need.
I wouldn't think about that.
That's why I'm throwing this info out.
Not that I should know that, but yes, but that's a good point.
Yeah, Murphy wore a dress last time.
But yeah, there's somebody listening probably who's about to do their first one and needs to know that.
And it's okay if you end up in only the gown, but if you want ease and quickness, just get it to where, and something that's easy to take on and off the top. The other thing is something that my friend Lisa taught me a couple of years ago. We were just sitting there having coffee one day, and I was talking about how much I loved coffee and that I had a mammogram coming up, and she works in that industry. She is a mammography tech. She gives mammograms all day long. And she was like, don't you know, Jodi, not to drink a bunch of caffeine right before your mammogram? And I was like, no, I did not know that. In fact, the one before that, I was in the waiting room with an iced coffee when they called my name.
Uh-huh.
And the reason being is that caffeine makes your tissue more sensitive and tender, if you will, for lack of a better word. And so if you're worried about it, being painful, give yourself the added, protection of not having much caffeine.
When you walked in with that venti, they didn't say, oh, let's reschedule?
No, because, I have done it before and it wasn't a big deal. Sometimes it has more to do with where you are as a woman in your monthly cycle as to how tender you will be, as to how it will feel. I've had mammograms that felt fine, no big deal. I was having a conversation with the tech and it was over. And then I've also had ones where I was like, ow, okay. But I will say this. The small amount of pain is very quick. It's very quick. It's a little bit uncomfortable, but the information that they're gathering is so worth it. You won't remember the way it feels. It's kind of like a shot. You won't remember the way it feels. You just won't. And the third thing to know is now the guidelines have changed, and when you get your report back from your provider, not from your provider, but from whoever gave you your mammogram, you will also get a report on your density, your breast density. They, sometimes you were told, you may have been told that we need a better photo, or we need you to come back in because you have very dense breast tissue. But now that's going to be documented.
Because there's a link between density and the risk of cancer?
Yes.
Is that what it is?
And it's
the
harder.
More dense?
It's a little bit harder for them to see it.
Right.
Understand, though, as far as technology goes, it's getting easier and easier for them. They have better information with the images. The images are better now, and there are some places where they're using AI to detect abnormalities that they see, and the AI is really accurate for detecting things.
I think you mentioned this before too. Size and density should not be confused with each other.
No, they're not.
Because they're not really interchangeable.
You can have small breasts and they still be dense. It's about the tissue.
Right.
It's about the kind of tissue.
I have a question.
Yes.
And this isn't juvenile, even though you might think it sounds that way.
Okay.
If you have breast implants, can you still do mammograms?
Yes, as far as
it's not a.
They need to know, though.
Yeah.
I remember a woman, the tech last time, asked me if I had implants, and I said no. And it's something that she needs to know right before she does the photos and the images, because I'm sure the angles have to be different. It's probably a different mammogram. I don't know because I don't have implants. But yes, implants or no, you should have your mammogram.
Right.
It's literally 5 minutes. For me, it's in and out 5 minutes. As soon as I'm comfortable in that little thing in the waiting room, they're calling my name and we do it and you go. And so those are the three things that I wanted to pass along. If you want to add anything to this, we really like hearing from you about it.
And, it's so easy to blow these appointments off because of a busy day, even if you've got it scheduled and you want to do it. Once you've canceled because you have a conflict or whatever, and then several months go by again before reschedule. I guess the reason for me is, as your husband, Jodi, that's something I want to make sure that all of the exams that you're supposed to be getting annually, because we do know that prevention, or I should say not only prevention, but early detection.
It's it.
Especially in the case of breast cancer, makes the treatment more likely to succeed. Or, it's like anything. You catch it earlier, right? And so the worst that comes out of a screening really is that, you either have an answer of something you need to address or you're all clear, but it's really only two answers.
And know this, I have a friend who got called back for additional images once, and it scared her, but they knew to go ahead and calm her nerves. It was not that they thought there was anything there. There was a problem with the image, and the doctor was a perfectionist. And it's like, I need to see this image, and this image needs to be better. It's probably okay, but the doctor didn't feel comfortable going, well, the image is off and I don't see anything. Yeah. So sometimes it's just for their purposes that you're called back in.
Yeah, I remember on an unrelated subject, one of the treadmill tests I did, I did everything correctly, the way I was positioned, everything. It was, but the image came back inconclusive. And
treadmill test for your heart?
Yeah.
Okay.
And and it concerned me just a little bit, even though they said, look, it's the image. We need to do it a different type of diagnostic.
Of course, it's natural because you're vulnerable.
So that's a really good point too. Is that the technology and it is not always going to be perfect, and the medical team is going to be good enough to answer a question or provide an alternate diagnostic if needed, if the first one doesn't work like it's supposed to. And none of those should be a reason not to schedule.
Oh, no. Do it. Again, don't wear a dress. Don't have a bunch of caffeine. If you are worried about tenderness or pain, you can have it if you want it. I've had friends who roll up in there with coffee and go, I don't care. It's fine. And so you do you. And the third thing is know that you will get a report also on your breast density. Some categories, there are apparently 4 different categories of density, and some of them require better images, a second look. And you won't know that until you have a mammogram.
Missed any part of the show? Get it all on the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi podcast.